Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collection. Coming back around, starting back at 1 with another watch review. And this is my very first Invicta watch. And this is arguably one of the most iconic watches Invicta's ever made, the Venom, the original Venom. Not a Venom hybrid, not a remade cable version, the original hybrid. I still think this is the best Venom variation ever created. I think that Invicta watches are extremely unique and a lot of fun, but I do think sometimes, you know, it gets difficult to kind of make new creations, right? And I feel like sometimes they do kind of like what Aragon does, is that they start to just kind of like make additions to watches that are already amazing. And I think there's been so many variations of the Venom. This is by far my favorite variation. Now, I will state that the second variation of the Venom is the Venom Hybrid, where they've kind of combined the subaqueous specialty. I've always thought when they called that watch a Venom Hybrid, they really should have called it the subaqueous specialty hybrid, because there's more in common with the subaqueous specialty in that watch than the Venom ever had, right? So let's talk about this watch. Now, this is one of those models that I remember, give you guys a little bit of a backstory. I remember being a young guy and looking at the Jacob & Company watches, and at the time 47mm was huge. And I remember measuring, like drawing a circle on a piece of paper, trying to look at how big 47 was. And for years I rocked the Jacob & Company style watches, and many different companies came out with homage style watches. And I remember seeing the Invicta brand pop up, and I didn't really know much about them. I don't even think I saw them on the home shopping networks. I saw them pop up just on the internet somewhere. And I remember looking at the size and saying that this is a 52mm watch, and saying that can't be right. That's like enormous. Like, how could that be that large? And at the time, these watches in the Venom, there wasn't many variations of Invicta. They made a few different models, and we're going back probably to maybe around 2009, 2008 here. And I remember seeing this and saying, you know, that's not really my style. It's more of what we would consider a dive watch, right? Big stainless steel, no ice on it, nothing like that. And I remember not really being sure if I was going to like it. And I remember, again, measuring, and I remember seeing the side shots online, and then hearing about or reading about the thickness. And I think this watch measures, gosh, let me just double check here, roughly, I mean, it's almost, with the case back, we're looking at about 21mm in thickness, getting close to an inch. I remember talking about that with my dad. He's like, that's almost an inch thick. I was like, that can't be right. That's got to be a misprint. And back then, I have had a opportunity to own a homage watch to a Breitling. I still have it, Super Avenger, which I was amazed at how thick and heavy it was. And I just couldn't wrap my brain around a watch being this large until I actually got the watch in the mail. And I could not believe how heavy the watch was, almost a pound. And it was very difficult for my mind to, you know, I was like, I mean, I shit you not, I was taking out the food prep scale, measuring, I was weighing, and I was thinking, how could a watch be that heavy? And when I got the watch, what really, you could say you like the style or hate the style. You can clown on Invicta, you can love Invicta. But what really drew me to the brand was feeling the quality of this watch at that $350 price point. Now these, you can get these nowadays for like 150 bucks. If you are, you know, you watch out for the deals, you can find them. This one here, this watch, I got, again, back in like 2000, I think 10. Don't quote me on that, roughly around that time. And for a lot of folks, when we talk about quality, and folks say, oh, these are disposable watches, or these watches are going to last you 6 months. I hear it with everything. With my hot tub, same thing. Oh, it's a 6 months hot tub. Here we are going on 5 years, running great. So this watch, being this old, this watch is incredible quality. And again, whether you know, this may not be your exact design, may not be your favorite model, whatever. You may not like the size, I get that. But what's incredible to me, I liked all that ordering the watch. I was like, I want this big, huge chunk of steel on my wrist. What blew me away was getting my hands on this and feeling not just the weight. And some folks will argue that, oh, well, Fat Cat only likes watches that are huge and heavy. It's just amazing how well this watch is constructed. And even after all these years, the only thing wrong with it is the battery has died. And I got a good 6 years out of the battery. I will change it eventually. I just honestly forget about what I actually own sometimes. So I'm going to definitely rock this today. It is an incredible piece. And it's one of those watches that I just feel like Invicta did it. This is their best variation. Now, they did make an Invicta Venom 2, which had the, what we think of as the hybrid bezel on it. I did have one of those and I sold it because I got the hybrids, and I have 2 of those now. So the bezel is exact same. I didn't see the point in keeping it. But this one I will never sell. I love the original Venom design. Everything about this is incredible. You turn the bezel, it is fluid. It is every bit as nice as my $2,000 Aqua Dive, a well-respected brand. Anybody who tells you, again, turn the bezel on Invicta or turn the bezel on a Rolex, complete nonsense. The bezel on this has no play. It's smooth after all these years. It is just absolutely incredible. It's easy to turn, and of course it is so big. The watch, the tolerances on the Venom, I mean, look at how tight that bracelet is. It is absolutely an amazing watch. Everything about this just says this watch says I am indestructible. It is that amazing. We have sort of like a slightly curved flame fusion crystal, screw down crown, screw down function pushers. And you just can't go wrong with solid 316 stainless steel. I mean, it is just an incredible piece. And the Venom, again, if you don't, I've had other Venoms before where they put like the cable bezel on them and they start to get really over the top. This is just clean. It's big, it's bold. The bracelet is one of my favorite designs ever done by Invicta. It is just one of those watches when they came out with this, they said, we're going to knock this out of the park. And sure, Invicta makes a lot of crazy, amazing models, don't get me wrong, but there is something that when you get your hands on this Venom watch, or one of the, they don't make this exact model anymore. You have to get a different model, but it's the same thing. And I encourage you to check out the link in the description. I'll link it specifically to Venom watches. And if it doesn't, just search Venom. These are getting harder to find. And I'll tell you, I've had this watch in the rose tone and black. And I just didn't, if I have a watch I don't really wear all that much, I will get rid of it. I sold it. I had the cable variation, and I do have this watch in a rose tone bezel and yellow gold mirror polished. But something about this silver that just, it's big, it's thick, it's bold, it's a pound of steel on your wrist. And again, that's not an indicator of quality because it's got a lot of steel, it's heavy. But if you get your hands on one of these, you will be blown away with the quality. And what I wish Invicta would do is start making mid-sized versions of this. You are going to be hard-pressed to find a mid-sized version of the original Venom. It is iconic to Invicta and is my very first model, and I absolutely love it. I'm not going to get too involved in giving you guys the specifications because every Invicta watch uses a different movement. A lot of times nowadays they're using the Z60 Ronda movement. I do believe this has let me see, let me just check the model number here. This is when they use a different movement. This is the 5730. While I got you guys here, let me just Google it because it's been a while for me as well. And let me just see which movement this one is using. 5730 Invicta. Like, this is a hard watch to find. Like, even on Google, it doesn't even pop up anymore. I think I found, oh, here it is on the Invicta store website, or the Invicta Watch website. So a little bit more about the specifications. 1,000 meters of water resistance. Now, I haven't put that to the test, but, I mean, I'm never going to, why bother? Who cares? I have worn it in the shower. I've worn it in the hot tub. No problems there. Flame fusion. Some folks will state that, flame fusion is inferior to sapphire. Yeah, don't take my word for it. I believe Ben's Watch Club or Teddy Baltasar did on their website. They had I don't know if they linked from another site, but there was a scratch test done with a special tool designed with different hardnesses to test the crystals. And Flame Fusion, when we compared it to Casterna, we compared it to K1, Mineral, Sapphire. Of course, Sapphire was the most scratch resistant, but remember, when you have something that's harder, it becomes less shatter resistant. So again, I'm not trying to plant the seed in your mind saying that you're going to shatter a sapphire crystal, but more scratch resistant, less shatter resistant. Acrylic, you can scratch it more, but a lot more shatter resistant. So Flame Fusion tries to give you the best of both worlds. It's not as hard as sapphire, but when they tested this, I think this got to the level 8 on scratch resistance. So it was better than almost everything else they tested. Not insanely better, not as good as Sapphire, but it was still very, no matter what you get, it's going to be hard to scratch, and you're not going to do it with like just normal wear and tear. So Flame Fusion is a fantastic method, a fantastic proprietary crystal Invicta uses, and I'm not going to get involved in all telling you about it, and I don't really know much about it, but on the test, just off a different website, I'll try to link to that in the description. It did extremely well. So you shouldn't be worried about, oh, it doesn't have Sapphire, I'm going to scratch it. Don't listen to what these folks lead you to believe, that like they try to make the comparison between Sapphire and like cheap plexiglass, or not cheap, but like basically an acrylic plastic glass, where it's like, wow, you can scratch that really easily. It's very difficult to scratch any of these watches. So get that out of your mind. You have to have a sapphire crystal. Now this is one of the versions that was Swiss made. This watch does say Swiss made on it, but remember, I don't believe this even at that time was made in Switzerland. It falls under the Swiss made designation, and that's a very loose list of very loose list of checkboxes for a watch company to actually use the word Swiss made. And mainly with a watch like this, it is a quartz, but it uses a caliber G10.211 movement, and that is a Swiss made movement. Again, that doesn't mean that that watch movement is made in Switzerland or produced, but this is what it says about this movement. So it's an ETA branded movement, and this is right off Caliber Corner. Is a just says here that it's known models. It's been known to be used in Invicta Reserve Midsize, Swiss Legend Commanders, and Tissot Quicksters. It says here the Caliber ETA G10-211 is a Swiss assembled quartz with 4 jewels, and it's not considered to be a repairable movement. So just so you know, again, it falls under that designation for Swiss assembled. I think Invicta did have to change, and don't quote me on this, but now this would actually say Swiss parts as opposed to Swiss made. So at that time, I believe they were allowed to get away with saying Swiss made when when that movement was Swiss assembled, and it just means, I believe it's assembled in Switzerland. But again, read about that. You can read all about that on the internet. There's tons of information. Does it mean that the watch is better, or you know, because of that? Not at all. It's just, it's a designation that at one point in time it did mean something. It doesn't mean anything nowadays, in my opinion, because I have variations that are not Swiss made, and there's no difference in quality. Remember, the case, all that stuff is manufactured in Invicta facility somewhere, and the quality control, the manufacturing standards are the same. So again, $150 mirror polish version as opposed to $350 for this. Same exact watch. One just said, you know, cosmetically different colors, but one has a different movement. So again, this watch, Invicta kind of got away from using these ETA quartz movements, probably due to price. They're now using the Z60s by Ronda in most of their watches. Ronda is kind of like the big player when it comes to Invicta watches and the movements they use. But still, none of them, they all work, folks. There's no difference. They all tell time, and they all tell time extremely accurately and well. Again, got that 210 millimeter in band length. A lot of this won't mean much shit. 26 millimeters in lug width. And what else? The dial on this is like some sort of metal, but it's not stainless, just a metal dial. But an incredible watch. And I don't think, let me just see what they have on Invicta stores. You can click and check it out. And again, I'll put the link in there. I highly doubt you're going to find this particular model, but yeah, hardly any Venoms. You can pick up a similar version of this with the Z60 with a silicone strap, which I never really recommend, for $199. Let me just see what else Invicta Stores has here, just under Venom, and we'll see if they even have. Yeah, so this is when they start to get, you know, more elaborate. And this isn't really my thing. I've reviewed some of these before. Here we have the one with the snake bezel. Looks like a big snake. We have the cable version. This is a pretty fair deal. Very similar, just a giant cable around the bezel. Only $219. Ooh, this is not bad here. This is the two-tone skeletonized face Venom automatic. I'm not sure which automatic movement this has. $249. silver and yellow gold. Absolutely stunning. They actually have a couple open heart versions. Of course, we have the hybrid. And then we have, this is a fantastic deal. We have this exact watch with the Z60 for $179 with a blue, royal blue face. So you have some options here. Again, they have some gold in that sub $300 price range. They have, oh man, they have a lot more than I thought they'd have on their website. So the closest thing that I see on their site that you can get, $299. That's done with the some sort of automatic movement. I'm not sure which one, but it looks to be exactly the same watch. Let's see what they say here as far as the movement's concerned. Yeah, just says automatic. Movement caliber Z2031. Some kind of Chinese automatic. So just a stunning piece. And, you know, if you can't get the ETA quartz version, that's a real close second to this, that skeleton face. If I didn't have this in my collection, I'd be picking up one of those. All right, so that's it. 15 minutes into this video. Let's just get it over with. Let's throw it on the wrist. I'm about 5'8". I weigh about 172 pounds, and I have a 7-inch wrist. So this is what this big-ass watch looks like on a guy my size, my height, and my weight. And for you folks who've been following me for a very long time, again, I want to address this again. You know, the channel's grown to 21,000 subscribers, and I still get the folks who comment saying, oh, you don't like Invicta anymore. It's just amazing the assumptions people make in this world that somehow I don't like Invicta because I haven't bought a lot of Invictas lately. However, if you just would have taken the time before opening your mouth and running your fingers on YouTube to just simply look at the channel and search for Fat Cat Invicta, you will find that almost every year I review 2 to 3 brand new Invicta watches. I think between 2020 and 2023, I probably added 6 different Invictas to my collection. It's a brand that I love. It's a brand that I'll always continue to add to my collection, but I don't like the ones with the snakes all over it, you know? So I'm not going to buy every single Invicta, and just because you don't see a lot of Invictas, like when I first started the channel, you know, I was buying nothing but Invictas. Then I got into Aragon. As we collect watches and we get more and more in our collection, for me personally, I like to get some variety, and I like to wear big watches and I like to wear small watches. And having that variety with affordable watches gives you the luxury of being able to have something for really any occasion or just any feeling you might have, you know? I mean, you don't necessarily have to be going somewhere to say, oh, I need to figure out which watch. Sometimes you just grab a watch and throw it on the wrist. And having a nice variety just gives you the ability to really, just kind of really show off with them and really share these beautiful creations with people. Now, depending on your job, depending on what you do, you know, I've had different jobs over the years where I interact with thousands of people a day, and jobs like I have now where I don't interact with many at all. So for me to, you know, generally, you know, I don't get the conversations like I used to. YouTube, I definitely do, of course. But, you know, it's great to come back to these Invictas. And I'm going to start to review all the Invictas I reviewed before. The reason for that is YouTube is a funny beast. And YouTube, even though I have all these videos, you can search for Fat Cat Venom, Fat Cat Invicta Venom. You'll find all my old content. It's nice to give a refresh and kind of update people as to how these watches are holding up. And the only way you know the reliability of something is through time. And I can tell you, over 10 years old, this watch is as nice as the day I got it. A few extra scratches here and there, but it still works great. It's a fantastic watch. It does need a new battery, but you're gonna have to deal with that with any watch you go with, unless it's an automatic. So definitely check this brand out. Check out Invicta. Add a Venom to your collection if you don't have one, and you will definitely thank me for it. So thanks for watching, folks. Have a fantastic day, and take care.